Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a multi-character tutor by me, so let's get into it. Child, you've always wanted to touch his hair. After all, it's really fluffy. And so you were more than curious to put your hands in it. And the opportunity came fairly quickly. After all, Child never minded your touch. He craved it. And that's why, when the two of you would sit down to cuddle, it was easy for you to put your hand in his hair, stroking it gently, and feeling how close his eyes and melt into your touch as you stroked it gently, moving over his scalp and giving him soft kisses, pressing them into his hair. Child felt absolutely relaxed, and honestly, if you ever stop and he's not asleep, he's going to pout, asking you to do it more. Once you've done this, he's probably gonna be a lot more clingy now, wanting more of this. Albedo. Albedo's hair is very fluffy and long, which is why you wanted to get your hands on it. Somehow, his hair felt even better than yours, and you're jealous of it. But regardless, he was still your boyfriend, so you felt happy that to have someone who was so beautiful like him. And sometimes when he was stressed out, he would lay his head on your lap, thinking whatever was bothering him. As the two of you would watch the clouds and the sky, your hand going through his hair, as his eyes would close, his eyes wondering about things you probably couldn't even comprehend. But it didn't matter, because no matter how different you are, the two of you still loved each other very much. Albedo treasured you more than anything else in his life. Damn, you were his number one priority, and the love of his life. Venti. Venti's hair was really good, but what you were curious about was the feel of those glowing parts of his hair. Those little cyan ones. They glow sometimes. So, one day, you asked him to use his power while you get to touch his hair. Because every once in a while, you would do his braids and braid his hair for him. It was nice. It looks really good when it was down. And cute too. So when he used that, the glow of it was not scary at all. It was so soothing and relaxing. For some reason, it felt like you were being healed, or like your soul was being more relaxed. He didn't know what it was about Venti, or his aura, or the kind of energy his hair radiated, but it was nice. And you would always love it when you played with it. So it was a win-win for you too. Kazuha. You've never seen his hair down, which is why you were so curious in the first place. And thankfully, he didn't mind. Mostly because he was drunk. He went out with Venti once, and the result was him coming back drunk. Honestly, Venti was such a bad influence. But he just wanted to make sure he's okay. So you untied his hair, changed him to something else, and tried to combat, stroking it through your fingers and seeing if there are any tangles. And you found him mumbling out your name softly, and trying to wrap his arms around you. So you kept him going until you relaxed. And eventually he did. But something about his hair was just too soft that you couldn't stop until you fell asleep. And in the morning, he will think about this little faint feeling in his mind that someone was playing through his hair, but he doesn't know if it was a dream or not. And he may or may not ask you just to do it without telling you why. But you don't need him telling you because you already know. He's adorable, and he's a little bit shy about asking. But that's okay, because you're right here and you're willing to do whatever makes him happy. Scaramouche. Scaramouche does not know that maybe letting people be closer to him was not so harmful and bad as it seems. He's a little hesitant and nervous about people, which is honestly for good reason. He hasn't had many positive experiences, considering he's been with A and then the Fatui. It was a lot. But you were slowly changing that. And that's why sometimes he would tell him to cuddle with you. He would be hesitant and stiff at first, but then he would slowly warm up to you, getting more comfortable. And then he would start touching his hair. Maybe at first he'd look at you weird and not know what's going on, but then he would quiet down, closing his eyes and hugging you tighter, feeling your fingers stroke his hair gently, and the calming movement on his scalp that almost put him to sleep, and you would let out a soft sigh, something quiet, but you could feel his chest heave against you, and you kissed him softly, watching as he slept in your arms. He was so sweet and gentle. He just doesn't know it yet. And maybe that's because he's only like this with you. But that's something to treasure and appreciated. Feeling like he loved you. Because he always chose to be vulnerable whenever he was with you. Thoma. Even though he has many duties to take care of, he's the king of majestic hair. Which obviously made you curious how soft it was and how it felt. It was very long, of course. It always looked so shiny and silky. So you wanted to touch it with your own two hands. And maybe even play with it. So one day you sat him down and told him you wanted to play with his hair. Of course, he laughed a little bit, his face flushing, but he let you, sitting down on the ground while he sat down on the couch, putting your hands in his hair and undoing the tie. And then you started letting your hands stroke his hair as he just melted against it. And then he asked him if you could braid it, and he didn't mind at all, telling you that he would like it. You braided his hair, putting flowers in it, and he looked like a Disney princess. And then you held his hand, taking him to a mirror. He was blushing when you saw it, but I told you it looked very pretty, and he stayed with it on for the rest of the day. It was adorable, and a lot of people commented on it, and even Ayaka said she liked it.